coming up on Added Time.
It could well be the game of the season of any competition.
Anyone slapped a teammate?
No.
No, I've thought about it.
It's not so much what I did see as what I didn't see.
And then this is a club that says to dare is to do.
For next show, Adam, I'd rather you not be like this. I'd rather you do this.
Boz.
All right, hello
Hello,
guys.
how are we all? Good?
Little, just three of us today. Little triangle.
Plenty to talk about. So much to talk about. We'll get to teammates fighting each other very shortly. That was incredible as we sit here right now. But we're going to start with onside, offside again. And we'll start with the North London derby, shall we? We'll go to you, Fozzie, first. Ebiezi, his signing, because the hat-trick in the North London derby, spectacular. He is the last piece of the puzzle for Arsenal to do what they want to do. And that's win something big.
I think very likely, yes, onside. The reason is because you can see the difference from last season when Odegaard, who has been injured quite regularly, when that happened last season, if you remember, they went back into the shell and they had to basically just, play counter-attacking football. Remember in the Champions League, and we were saying, hang on a minute, is this going to be able to win anything with this type of football? And then when Odegaard had come back, he was able to change. So now you got Eze there, and you can just continue. You just play any way that he wants to do. Of course, he does still like to be variable, but he's got the option to keep going. As it happened, Thomas Frank's, horrific football, I think very much played into their hands, obviously. And so Eze now has really, not only did he reject Spurs, which was, a big issue, but also now he's come into a team that was already functioning brilliantly, and he's added that little piece alongside Gyökeres as well.
We'll get to Thomas Frank a bit later on onside, offside. Boz, just quickly, I get the distinct impression that Arsenal have already won the Premier League. Am I getting ahead of myself? This is not on onside, offside. It's just an extra one to you.
Yes, you are getting ahead of yourself, but I can understand why, because they look by far and away the stronger side.
Absolutely.
No doubt about that. They'll be looking at the table still, but and saying, really, let's be honest, there's only 6 points to Chelsea. But if you're talking about, say someone like Liverpool, it's 11 points. Manchester City, it's still 7 points. So that will be foremost in their mind. They've got some massive tests coming up, but let's not kid ourselves. And we saw glimpses of that last season, especially against, say, Real Madrid. They are, at the moment, along with Bayern Munich, I think, the best team in the world. They're absolutely superb in terms of the options that they give the team, the way that they can score, the way that they can hurt you. Anyone at this moment in time will have problems with, and this is why it's going to be so interesting as well this week in the Champions League, because who meets who? Arsenal, Bayern Munich.
Yes, can't wait for that. Huge weekend, huge week in the Champions League. Boz, the second question, onside, offside.
Yes.
Jesse was sent off for slapping his teammate, Michael Keane, at Old Trafford. David Moyes said after, in the tunnel, he said, I didn't mind it. It shows they care. Is that comment onside or offside?
Because they won, onside. But I'm telling you now, if they'd lost, he wouldn't be saying that at all. Managers, traditionally, should not hammer their players and have not hammered their players publicly. We've seen that change a little bit in the last 10 years, and there have been exceptions before that. And he's got to worry about team cohesion, team spirit. I can understand where he's coming from, but I'm telling you, behind closed doors, he would have a real go at them, because even though that they won, and that would have taken away the edge off that sort of, you could say, hammering, it put them at great risk. I mean, for 80 minutes. Yes. They played with 10 men, but what an away performance. That and Nottingham Forest. If you're showing managers at a coaching course how to conduct fantastic away performances, one with one man down, another against a team that's so much better than you, those two are going to be videos for the ages. Absolutely fantastic.
Quick straw poll. Anyone slapped a teammate?
No.
No, I've thought about it a few times.
Held yourself back.
But no, and one reason why you're not going to take it any further, you wait until half-time or wait till after the game or wait till in training or whatever it is to have your argument about what's going on, is because of what happened. Really, it should have cost them. United should have made it cost them. So he's very, very fortunate.
Let's roll through the next one then. Fozzie, Scotland. First World Cup since 1998. They played that opening game there on that one against, I think it was Brazil on that occasion.
They did, yeah.
World-class goals to get through. Curacao, through a tiny little Caribbean nation, Dutch colony, basically.
Ex-Dutch colony.
Dutch colony, of course, but a heavy Dutch
and smallest nation in the history of the World Cup. They take the title from Iceland.
Thank you. The extended World Cup format is good for this reason, to see these moments and to see these qualifications.
I say onside. Let's, the real determination will be after the World Cup. We don't quite know how it's going to go. Obviously, there's another round in there. But, when it was announced, this was my view, and I haven't changed it, is that if the World Cup wasn't increased from 16 to 24 to 32, Australia wouldn't be making it either. Okay? So it got us in, right? It gave more places to Asia, right? And that meant that we're able to continue to participate every time, right? And so these smaller nations, and not so much Scotland. Scotland's got a very, very proud history, but they've had a poor, difficult period. It's good to see them back. The Tartan Army always going to add something, at any World Cup. It's fabulous. And I was just reading about the response. What happened there is that's 27 years, right? Well, we were 32, and we just had our 20-year anniversary of that 05 game. So you know how important it is. And they were saying, I think it was, what was it, the Scotland Geothermal Observatory or something that measures Richter scale.
Yeah.
They're saying
it measured something.
They actually measured something because the response of the crowd in that stadium was so incredible. So, I think the distribution of those moments had to be wider than just the big guns and the usual suspects all around the country. I like that more countries are having moments like we had in 05.
A couple more to come in March as well. We've got the European playoffs on Stan Sports. Boz, to you.
Yes.
Next question, onside, offside. England, unbeaten in their pool. They go in as what? I don't know, one of the favourites. But onside, offside, football is coming home, as they would say over there. Not the rest of the world, but they would say.
I'll go onside.
Yeah?
Look, they've been very, very close. Since the disaster of 2016, Gareth Southgate had a wonderful time, brought them all together. They have got some very, very good young players, brought them all through. They've got great camaraderie. They've been to, semi-final in the World Cup, 2 finals of the Euros, quarter-final in Qatar, and it was, that could have went either way, that game against France. So I'll say onside. And now with Thomas Tuchel, somebody who's got vast experience, also, has won the biggest things in the game in terms of trophies. Won the Champions League, that's what comes to mind. I'm going to say onside. Look, in terms of the World Cup, there's always, I would say, around 6 to 8 teams that could win it. So you have to have a little bit of luck along the way. There is an extra round, like Craig just said. But I really believe that they can win this one, yes.
Yeah. Well,
can I just add to that? So basically, I did some, did a kind of some data research decades ago when we were talking here about Australia, about how we need to improve and stuff. And so basically, what the World Cup winners show is that you first have to do well in the youth teams. You first have to do well in under-20s in particular. Under-17s a little bit young. But Mexico's a good example. If you remember Giovanni Dos Santos, Mexico won the under-17 World Cup, but it's difficult then if you don't have the scale of quality players coming through. By under-20s, it starts to go down, and then by 20s. And so, France, Spain did that. Spain did that in the women as well. And England in the under-20 World Cup in particular, and the Euros, but under-20 World Cup, their performances over the last 15 years or so have been accelerating like that. For the first time in a long time. They actually weren't that strong in the youth categories. So you could see that, but now, in part because of what's happened in the EPL and so on, great coaching there now. Now the new generations are coming through. They're close to or at the top of the world. And it's inevitable that they're going to win one at some time for that reason. So they've been so close, it has to happen.
Thierry Henry came out and didn't miss with his thoughts on the Bundesliga and quality of and players coming out in the last week or so. I've always a question mark on players that perform in Germany. So Foz, Bayern Munich are performing pretty well. We mentioned Bayern Munich Arsenal later in the week. Bayern Munich go to the Emirates and do a number on Arsenal to prove Thierry wrong, even though they've got so many international players, Bayern Munich. But you know what I mean, to stick up for the Bundesliga, if you know.
Well, then, in such a run, those two teams, that's got to be the game of the season so far, certainly in the Champions League, but it could well be the game of the season of any competition as yet, and it could well be a final or the final. So I don't quite know what he's saying, because he hasn't clarified it, whether he's talking just about the EPL or elsewhere. Because
sounds like Frimpong Wirtz.
Okay, so he's talking EPL, because if you're talking about the others, that's difficult to be making that argument. That German players are constantly going not just to Italy where they do well, but they do well in Real Madrid, they do well in Spain. Obviously, German players are doing well everywhere, aside from winning World Cups occasionally. So, yeah, Wirtz and Frimpong have been a big disappointment so far this season. There's no doubt about it. It's one of the reasons why Liverpool are struggling. But then you have many, you only have to go through them. I mean, Ozil came from Real Madrid, but he'd been previously in Germany from that, came to Gunners, was a legendary player, if you ask me. Ballack was amazing for Chelsea. He came straight across.
From Bayer Leverkusen.
Bayer Leverkusen. You had... Dortmund players, Gundogan, for example, came across from Dortmund and so on. So
Bobby Firmino, Joel Linton, two others that have come out of the Bundesliga.
Yeah, so I don't quite. But you'd have to measure that against the French players and so on. But if he's talking specifically about the EPL, I think there might be, relative to France, there might be a question mark.
Bumper week in Champions League, Boz. PSG faced Tottenham in the replay of the Super Cup final, which Tottenham nearly won, obviously, back in August. But here's a question for you. Given what happened in the North London derby, Thomas Frank finds a way to turn things around and get revenge on PSG for that late loss in the Super Cup.
Not after I saw on the weekend. Offside, no.
Offside?
Yeah. Look...
What did you see on the weekend from Tottenham, in your opinion?
It's not so much what I did see as what I didn't see. Pretty much anything. I think mainly the state of mind has to be brought into question. You can throw tactics and this, that, and they tried to go man for man, a la what Newcastle did against Manchester City, right? And it worked quite well.
Yep.
But they just, it just completely fell apart. And I think when you set up a team like he did set that team up in a defensive mode, I think basically it told the players he doesn't believe that they can win. And I think you saw that all over. And the stats not only back it up, but basically I think the body language of the players, as soon as they concede a goal, they concede straight away another one. And then more worryingly, straight after half-time as well. Normally you would expect a reaction, especially in the North London derby. So I don't hold much hope for them going into this game it'll be on a Thursday our time, especially away from home. However, it must be said, even though the North London derby was away from home, their away record has been very good this season. If you just did an away table, they'll be equal first with Chelsea and Arsenal. But on the weekend, that was really, really poor. And I tell you what, with the reaction from the Spurs fans, if he happens to get walloped, if he happens to get walloped by Paris, which he very much might be, I'm telling you now, it's going to be the pressure dial is going to start to go right up for him.
The psychology of top players never ceases to fascinate me. About at the top level, you think, oh, you're a top player, you just act mentally supreme all the time. But it's not the case, because you have situations like Spurs are in, we'll get to Liverpool in a moment, where you're knocked. And you just mentioned there about you felt that the players didn't believe, like they... What is it? Like a player, if a coach tells you not to play a certain way that you can, does that teach you to think, well, this guy's constricting what I believe I can do?
Just imagine this, I'm your boss right now, okay? You've done this job for, 30 years, what you're doing right now? Okay, but I'm your boss right now, so I've stopped this show and I said, look, listen, for next show, Adam, I'd rather you not be like this, I'd rather you do this. Something that you think is a little bit, okay, I don't, but I'm your boss, whatever. But as you're going through it and it's not working, the little doubt, the little voice inside you just says, I don't think he believes that I can do this the other way. Yeah. Exactly the same thing. Yeah. They don't have to. I mean, players read into things a lot. You don't have to basically out and out. They don't come out and say it. They would never do that. But players can sense it. Players are very, from a street smart, so they're very, very smart. They can sense things. And they know by the formation, who's playing, the feeling, what they think that the coach thinks that they can or cannot do.
So the coach has to convince the players. That's all that they have to do, and they have to keep them convinced, right? That's obvious. Otherwise, you're playing against teams that believe in what they're doing, whatever it is. Like Nottingham Forest, a good example now. They now know exactly what it is they're doing. It's not something that I would enjoy watching, but they're certainly committed to it, right? It won't always get results unless you're Leverkusen and you have an undefeated season. So you're going to lose games. The question is, can the coach convince all of the players that they're on the right path, even if the result or the results aren't what they expected, or their individual performances aren't what they would like. So 60% of players, probably, I'm just suggesting that, are playing in systems or in ways that they think they can do more and probably be better, but they're committed to the team, otherwise they wouldn't be there at professional level. However, the players are prepared to give that to the team as long as they can see a path going forward. And so when I see players start to kind of shake their head and now you're questioning their approach, what I see is a coach who isn't convincing them that what they're doing in a month's time is going to be working. That's what they're questioning. It's like, I mean, a second to that is, I don't know how Tottenham can allow someone to play like that. I mean, Conte did, and like, you know, I always said it's the most boring football ever. And then this is a club that says to dare is to do. Like, just take the motto away then. Like, why do you have that motto when this is what you're allowing Thomas Frank to do? I just think that's patently ridiculous. That's a great example between a culture you're trying to talk about and a culture that you're actually implementing. They don't gel, right? So, but anyway, if players are convinced that it's going to work and that that what they're doing to the team effort is going to somehow bear fruit, they're committed. But I don't see it.
Still to come on Added Time.
It's very clear what's going wrong for Liverpool.
He doesn't qualify for the Champions League, I think he'd be gone.
I don't know what my future is here. I could go down the pecking order or be packing my bags to go somewhere else.
Because all those games are all very winnable. Every single one they've got. Hell, we all know you support Newcastle. Do another one.
To Liverpool, do you see a similar strain there with the players? Because we've talked about Arne Slot, and we'll talk about him a bit now here, because that Real Madrid result is long forgotten, it feels like, out of the weekend. Is it a playing issue? Are they similar to
we've spoken about this. There's several issues. I actually don't think they played that bad against Nottingham Forest. They had chance after chance after chance after chance. But it's coming back to what I said to you about the mental state. Their confidence is very, very low. And we've spoken about it before. 5 new signings, high-profile signings, too many. After winning the title by 10 points with 4 games to spare, I know what players are like. I'm telling you now, the few in the dressing room would have got together and sort of said, you know what, gee, lucky we didn't come second. He would have went and got 10 players, right? Trying to change the way you play too quickly with new personnel, okay? The thing that wasn't said up until recently, to be fair, and I can understand why, the tragic passing of Diogo Jota and his brother. I think that's had a traumatic effect more than people, wish to speak. So those are all things that have gone into the mix. But the main thing is like I said to you, too many signings after a very successful season, and that's led to lack of cohesion. The other one as well, which I believe that they should try to rectify in January, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
We'll get him back.
Yeah, well, 100 million%. He's not playing. Like Valverde's playing. I mean, Carvajal's sort of, in and out. He's coming back from injury. But any time it's sort of like he's not been playing regularly. So go and get him back.
Chances of that actually happening?
I don't know, because, you've got to think to yourself as well. We're talking about Real Madrid are going through a tough time. I mean, Xabi Alonso's under big pressure. He hasn't won the last 3 games. So there's a lot of talk about Florian Wirtz possibly going to Real Madrid on loan and Rodrigo coming the other way. But I would try to work something like that, because at this moment in time, they're closer to the relegation zone than they are to the title.
Yeah, they're talking. I mean, they are. It's so compressed there that they're close to the relegation than the title, but they're also just 3 points, 4 points out of a Champions League spot. Ekitike, Isak, one of them can't play each weekend, or one of them sits on the bench, I should say.
Yeah, so I think you rightly asked the question at the time, like, was Isak a necessary signing, basically, because you brought Ekitike over. He started the best of any of their imports and new players. Like, he started fantastically well, and then all of a sudden you've got 2 players at the same level. I mean, they bought Núñez. I think it was like £80 million, so it was expensive, but, pretty quickly it was clear that he was going to be the secondary striker, right? And then it's a question of Klopp being able to keep him happy in that regard, and also for the new coach to be able for Slot to keep that going, right? Last season. But that doesn't appear to be the case. The way I look at it is that issues in a team and the team performances and with a club can cascade, right? And then what happens is every week everyone talks about this issue and the current issue and the current issue. But it's particularly when you have a loss and a loss and a loss and a loss, because that's when you see the confidence of the whole group go down. And that's the difference between 0-0 with Liverpool playing and 0-1 losing is a different team. Because right. Because now it's happened again, and now we're back in that area. That's what Slot has to overcome. And I mean, some teams have these cores of groups, and Liverpool certainly had that under Klopp and last year in recent times. That's what's been removed, where once you had 1 or 2 losses, they can turn it around constantly. And usually that's a core group of leadership and whatever. They just will not allow, they'll get the group together, whatever has to happen. They're ready for the third game. And Klopp was like that as a coach, would always talk about it. The problem for Slot is, you know, he's allowed this to run, and now it kind of just can get worse and worse and worse. And now you've got Van Dijk talking publicly about what the team needs to do, and so on. Usually you don't need to see that happen.
With January on the horizon, boss, not sure what it was like when you were playing, but when you knew that changes were coming, what does that do in a busy period in December to the dressing room? Like Mark Gay was mentioned on every back page of the paper last week again about getting him from January.
How did Canate play?
Yeah. Like, have you seen it affect people thinking, I don't know what my future is here. I could go down the pecking order or be packing my bags to go somewhere else.
I have, because there's always rumours flying around, especially when you're at the bigger clubs. So, but not to the great extent, because you've got the personal pride in your performance. Because even if whoever you're with doesn't want you, somebody else will take you, especially when you're at one of the top clubs. Like Liverpool, there's no danger in that. So you've got to have pride in performance, because you don't want them going back and say, listen, as soon as there's been a bit of rumours, or as soon as things aren't going his way, he just sort of, he packed in. So you don't want the prospective club to go, well, I don't really want that, because things are going to go bad. We know that. You want to see how a player reacts to those type of bad things. So you can switch yourself off for it by not reading the newspapers, but you will know. Usually, as well, if you put in contract negotiations during that as well, that are not so much going towards that sort of tells you a story in the end. But again, personal pride and performance. Like I said to you, that they're 12th.
So the trick for that I see for both of you is in the next few games in the Premier League. They've got PSV in the Champions League. But next few games in the Premier League,
West Ham away.
Yeah, they're going to play teams who are going to do what Nottingham Forest did. So how Slot manages this situation, because in my opinion, against that block, Ekitike is a much better option than Alexander Isak, because he likes room.
Yeah, but you're biased because you don't like Isak after how he treated him.
Sorry, I call him Isak. I should call him number 14.
Yeah.
So we're doing okay with Voltemata, our big German friend up front for Newcastle.
Yeah,
but with how they are going to break this down, and it is going to be tense, because if they don't break them down and they don't get maximum points, maximum return from these games, it just only turns the temperature up.
Yes, and the thing is, the problem for Liverpool at the moment is scoring first or conceding first. Because when they concede first, then they know, OK, they're going to sit even deeper, we're in trouble, we're getting a hit on the counter-attack. So it's kind of like they spiral a little bit. And Slot has talked probably a little bit too openly about that, about the approach that the other teams are taking against them.
What, you feel that should be an excuse that's aired, or...?
Yeah, I think sometimes maybe he goes, I do like it, but I'm not sure it's the smartest. I like it as someone watching the game. I like it as someone, I like to hear what the coaches are saying, but I'm not sure him always admitting like what teams are doing against him is, really in the favour of their opportunities to win. Having said that, every other team is so well analysed. These guys have so much data. Everyone knows exactly what is happening anyway. And this is the difference between when Liverpool are under stress, or anyone like this, and what Manchester City did last season, is they're analysts. Like, they've got all of the data. Like, they know exactly, when you listen to him speak, they know exactly the areas where they're struggling. They know that they're struggling against counter-attack. Their press is not as effective as what it was last season. Aerially, they're not winning the duels that they won last season. That's why they're conceding a lot of set pieces as well. And as I said, they're struggling against counter-attack. So, their passes per defensive action are up slightly, so they're not able to win the ball back as quickly. So they have all of that stuff. And that makes, I think, the public discussion a little bit more difficult, because generally, the kind of pundits and most of the media and the like, don't work off the same data. Like, it's very clear what's going wrong for Liverpool. Slot knows exactly what it is. The problem is whether he's able to fix the issues that his team has against the core ways that opponents are now matching up against them, which is in several ways different to last season.
So next 3 games in the Premier League, boss, it's West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds.
Yeah.
What's an acceptable return?
Well,
Which dials down the pressure.
they're capable of winning those whole 3 games. In
Well,
fact,
they're
up until 9th of January, when they play Arsenal, I mean, I'll go through. West Ham away, Sunderland at home, Leeds away, Inter Milan in the Champions League. That's the last Champions League game, but we've seen them beat Inter Milan in Milan before. Brighton at home should win. Spurs away, it'll be very tough. Wolves at home should have a 3 points. Leeds at home, again, Fulham away. That's a good run. Then Arsenal away. Up until that, really, they are capable of sitting down, sorting this out, and then turning around and saying, look, we are capable of basically getting what from these games? And I would say to win every one. Remember as well, Mo Salah will be missing probably from around mid-December to mid-January because of the African Cup of Nations. So that's something they're going to have to take into consideration. But I'm telling you, if it goes the other way...
That's what I'm saying. A good run on paper.
Yeah, I know, but there's no reason why they can't just get back to basics.
Not being sacked already. I mean, is that realistic or what?
Well, it is. He's down to 6-1 with the bookmakers.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's inconceivable a couple of months ago, but to me, it's like, okay, those discussions will always be in the background, but
no, they're in the foreground.
But if you're going to do it, what's the alternative?
Well, there's
got to be an alternative.
That's another show. Look, the bottom line is, if he keeps losing, he's going to go. Same with anyone. But, it's doubtful. You'd like to think from a Liverpool perspective that they will keep losing. Because all those games, up until January 9th, Arsenal away, are all very winnable. Every single one they've got.
Well, I can't believe that. I mean, to me, you look at it, and in any of the top 5 leagues, when a coach goes this badly at a big club, of course there's always talk about sackings. And then everyone's in the frame, and that's normal. That's media, and this is the way it is. But I can't believe that they're going to sack him. Even if he loses a couple more games, I mean, it's already been a disastrous season by last season's measurement. But my feeling is with Liverpool that they've got a little bit more patience and long-term strategy. I would have thought, particularly replacing Klopp is extremely difficult. And so they obviously waited for this guy. Klopp, I would have thought maybe he had some input in who is capable of replacing him. I don't know that, but I would have thought that, he's a bit strategic like that. He really supports the clubs. It's not just my job, no way. He was like that at Dortmund. He left them in an unbelievable position. He was like that at Liverpool as well. So they've identified this guy. He wins the league in the first season, and now all of a sudden they're having difficulties when he replaces half the team. It's possible. It's not impossible. It's football. But no one's going to be able to convince me at the moment that they're seriously thinking about replacing a guy that replaced Jurgen Klopp.
Even if they finish like 8th?
Well, I would have thought that if they... I mean, I think at the moment, the most reasonable scenario, what I would see is most likely, is that they go up and down the rest of the season. I can't see him turning around and then chasing back, and trying to get close to, finishing 3rd, whatever. I think it's probably going to be unstable for the rest of this season.
It's only 4 points off 3rd.
4 points. Yeah, but I think Arsenal's going to continue to go. I think
Arsenal 11 points ahead.
Yeah, I think Chelsea are back. Yeah. So
I
mean, I think they're going to be a bit up and down from what my impression is at the moment. I don't think he's going to be able to settle the team because there's been too many changes and everything. So therefore, if let's say, for example, between now and the end of the season, he loses a few more games, he wins more than enough. He gets into kind of 5, 6 down to 8. Through that whole period, there's still going to be a lot of talk about him being sacked. That's natural. It's going to be up and down. But my feeling is that the club would have to be sticking with him. Otherwise, I think it's crazy. Because you look at Manchester... If you're in that club, you're looking at Manchester United and all the others and go, mate, we're not going there, right? Do we trust this guy? Does he have the ability? We wouldn't have signed him otherwise to replace Jurgen Klopp. And therefore, are we understanding the challenges he's facing? That's the key. What is the communication like? Like I said, they know everything about what's going wrong. The only proviso as to that is, OK, now that he's stepped into this position and he's the team is struggling and he's struggling at the moment, are we seeing a different person? Are we seeing him manage it well, or are we seeing it managed differently to what we thought he was going to be able to do? And are we concerned about him? Is he not turning it around in the way that... Is he not giving us the right answers we needed to hear? That's entirely possible.
8th good enough?
If they don't win the Champions League and he doesn't qualify for the Champions League, I think he'll be gone.
Yeah. Big call. Crystal balls. So, How's this for numbers, guys? I've got to read off the page. I can't remember these.
Okay,
No.
go on.
Stan Sport,
Yes.
over the Christmas period,
Oh, right, okay.
150 football games in December. That's not including January when the FA Cup kicks in
Yeah.
that way as well. But 60 Premier League games, 54 Champions League, Conference League,
Yep,
Europa League.
UEFA games, yeah.
13 Women's Super League games as well, with the Aussies playing left, right and centre.
Just December.
Just December.
Yeah.
Give us
December,
give us a
January.
handful that our viewers or listeners should just mark right now and go, do not miss this.
Well, there's so many around that Christmas period, like you rightfully pointed out, and also you got the FA Cup starting as well. But my three are Monday the 15th of December, 1 a.m. Sydney Melbourne time. Tyne and Wear derby, Sunderland versus Newcastle. Monday the 20th.
You've seen me watch that before,
Yeah,
haven't you?
I have.
Thoughts?
Yeah, but we'll leave for another
Craziness.
time. Monday the 22nd December, 3:30 a.m. in the morning. Aston Villa versus Manchester United for obvious reasons.
Yes.
And also in the Champions
Also
League,
derby.
Tuesday, the 11th of December, 7 a.m. in the morning. Real Madrid versus Manchester City. Yeah. And, you know, with that trilogy we had with them in the Champions League up until
Yeah.
last season, the ones
Yeah.
before, three of the best ties in Champions League
Unbelievable,
history.
yeah.
Unbelievable. So there you go.
Got some for us?
Yeah, so firstly, obviously, we've got Champions League coming up this week. We've got some unbelievable games.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
got, I mean, Arsenal, Bayern.
Chelsea,
right? We've got
Barcelona.
Chelsea, Barca. I mean, what a game that is. It's just going to be fantastic. But I just picked three. 21st of December is Spurs, Liverpool. Okay, that's going to be key. You're just talking about their fixtures. By the time he gets there, let's say that things are a bit jittery, like that's that's absolutely massive. It's also massive for Thomas Frank. Like, he's one I think he can come under serious pressure. Then you've got City, Chelsea on 5th of Jan, so over festive period. I say you have a nice new year. A couple of days later, okay, you got a big one. City, Chelsea is a fantastic football match to watch. Chelsea going great at the moment. And then I've got 9th of Jan, so now you're like, you got your feet up. You're middle of Jan, more or less, coming to. You're enjoying your
Christmas
holidays.
present, not enjoying
Yeah,
your,
and you've got a
physical state after all the food.
No,
and everything
that's
eaten,
right.
but, yeah.
And you've got Gunners then against Liverpool. So I've earmarked Liverpool because they're the ones to watch at the moment. It's fascinating.
I've gone Tyne Wear derby, as you know. I've become someone else when that's
Why
on.
replicate?
Well, I put it down.
On your phone when you put the same number, he goes, "Do you want to delete?" Well, just delete. Do another one.
Okay, well, here's one
All
for
you
you.
Newcastle. We all know you support Newcastle. Do another one.
The morning of the 27th of December,
Right.
Yeah.
Manchester United, Newcastle.
All right, there you go.
Newcastle.
Yeah,
I haven't
still
gone
better.
I haven't got the hat
At least
trick.
you haven't duplicated it.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you love them, you love them. Like,
In early January, I actually think this, in terms of title race,
Yeah.
you mentioned the Liverpool game for Arsenal.
Yeah.
I
Get to
think
it.
their trip to Bournemouth is going to be huge. If
Okay.
they go down there against a very good Bournemouth side, against a very good manager, and do a number
taking
on
points
them,
off everyone else.
yes.
Yeah. And then
That
they get
will
done.
prove to me that what I said earlier, that they're going to be champions.
Yeah, they're the ones you want to beat. Yeah.
All right.
That
Are
makes
you
a big
looking at
difference.
me as if to say you don't know what
I was
you're
waiting.
talking about?
Because I was waiting for
Yeah, it's
St
true,
James's
it's true,
Park.
because they're drawing with others.
To be
They're
fair, they've
getting-
already played at St James. They've already played at Old Trafford. I was waiting for one of those. Bournemouth. Okay, all right. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and they've done
Yeah,
very
it
well
makes
this
sense.
season.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Massive crowd there.
Yep.
14,000. Huge.
How'd Manchester United go this week, boss?
Listen. I told you, they're only 3 points off fourth place. If we get into the Champions
Yeah,
League
it's
places, that's a successful season.
It's incredibly
Against
close.
10 men, they
Incredibly
play
close
like
this
they're
season.
3 points off relegation.
Look,
Yeah.
you got to. I think it's one of these ones you just got to give Everton a whole lot of credit, rather than talk about the deficiencies that Manchester United showed. Everton were absolutely outstanding. Like I said, that's
No.
going to be like a. It is. That's going to be like a video
no,
for
you
coaching courses to say, like, look at this for an absolutely fantastic performance.
Yeah.
Literally 80 minutes.
Yeah.
With 10 men.
The art of
Yeah, and the
deflection,
opposite
Todd.
is also true.
Yeah, it was an outstanding performance. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. That's true. Very true.
Enjoy your football, gents.
This has been another Stan Sport production.